Hello, I am Precious Wayne Keats, over of Anointed for Prosperity Bookkeeping and more. And today we're going to do the importance of accounting in nonprofit process workshop. For a quick introduction, I am Precious Wayne Keats. I have a degree in accounting, degree in paralegal studies, and I'm a certified social media consultant, certified life coach, and a mental health first responder. I am bringing this presentation because I am an entrepreneur. In addition to being an accountant, I have other businesses. And I do have a 501c3. So I understand the importance of accounting, not just because I'm an accountant, but because of the impact that it has on both my business and my nonprofit. The first thing that we'll discuss today is the Excel method. For those who are at the stage where they don't feel like an accountant is necessary, and maybe they don't want to have to purchase software or don't feel comfortable using software, you can use a spreadsheet. This is a spreadsheet. In the training, there is the link so that it can be used at no cost to help you get started. You'll notice that each month is available: travel, lodging, meals, transportation, rental car, mileage, tolls, parking, supplies, on and on. These are the things, these are the expenses that you want to keep track of. You want to keep track of all of these expenses so that at the end of the year, you have this information for your tax returns. You may be saying, well, this is a nonprofit. Do we do all of this? 90% of the time, yes. You're going to have your cell phone. You're going to have your tablets, your MiFis, your different data devices in your vehicles or in the vehicles of your employees. 90% of the time, you're going to have GPS. You're going to have your internet bill, your regular office phone bill, your equipment, your printer, your fax machine, your scanner. If it's a medical facility, any types of medical equipment is going to be listed in this row. If you are subscribed to publications, which is how you get your information on where to find grants, how to apply for grants, etc., any type of supplies, any type of education, any class that you take in regards to the setup and the operation of your nonprofit is an expense towards that nonprofit. As I discussed in my actual speaking portion, accounting is essential to keep you in balance. It is very important to know where you are on a per moment basis with your finances so that you know what you need and what you can cut loose, what you need to do more of, what brings in the money, what is to taking all the money away, how far are you from this financial goal. So a spreadsheet is the basic, I'll say the starter way to just get started and have a way to keep track. We're going to now take a quick look at Waves. Waves has a free option. It is a accounting software. It is able to be used directly by whoever in the organization is able to put put in the data entry. When we go Waves, you'll see that they offer multiple products. They have accounting, they have invoicing, they have a way to take payments, they have a way to do payroll, they have advisors, and they have support. When you take a look at their pricing, in addition to their absolutely free option, they have the pay-per-use where it charges for the payments, and the payroll does have a charge. So their accounting and their invoicing is 100% free, and for the other options, there is a small fee. So if you were to say, okay, maybe the spreadsheet, I'm past the spreadsheet stage, I'm ready to keep my books, but not necessarily pay for anything at this point, you can sign up for and use the Waves. As you see, it will give you unlimited income and expense tracking. It will let you track your sales tax, partners, collaborators. You can add your accountant. I will tell you that I personally do not use Waves, not because it's anything wrong with it. I'm just more comfortable in QuickBooks. But it is very important that you, as a nonprofit, understand that a nonprofit is still a business. It still needs the structure of a business. So Waves is one of the options that you can use to keep your accounting in order without having to pay the software for the software or for a person outside of your company to do it. Now we'll take a quick look at FreshBooks. I also mentioned it during the discussion. I just want to take a quick moment and show you what FreshBooks is. Again, it's kind of in the middle of the Waves and the QuickBooks. It has various options available, like invoicing, etc. It does have different plans available that make different options available. If we hop over and we see who is it for, we see it's for pretty much anyone. When we take a look at the resources, we see it does have some support resources and some educational resources in here for you. As we take a look at the features, we see in the features that accounting is definitely the major feature. It lets you track expenses, mileage, payments. It lets you create proposals, set up projects, and pretty much anything. You notice it has a few more features than the Waves. It has more features than the Waves because for the most part it has pricing. So we see with the free option, there was definitely some features that could be used. When we move up to the next option, which is definitely a little less, has a little price to it, we see that it has a few more features. You see if we have, uh, they break down the price based on billable clients. Now, if we take a look at QuickBooks, which is where the bulk of your training is going to get ready to take place. It is much, much easier for me, honestly, to walk you through using QuickBooks simply because when I went to school and when I first started in accounting, there was no software. We did everything by hand with the General Journal, the General Ledger, and we manually, by hand, kept books, did reconciliation, and the entire process by hand. When QuickBooks was introduced, QuickBooks was the most similar to physical books. So many years ago, QuickBooks was like a computer version of an actual book that you would have written in. And they did not have the online version that I'm getting ready to show you. It was strictly a software that you had to install and use and upgrade and update and so on and so forth. But it has definitely transitioned over the years to become a lot more user friendly, a lot more modern, but also to give a lot more benefits. So we're going to go over and take a quick look at the QuickBooks. This is what an actual QuickBooks account looks like. This is what it looks like when you log in and you are in the account. So as you see, this is the company view which is what you would see in the company view. It gives you a place where your experts are. So if you have added accountants or bookkeepers outside of your firm, they would be listed under this option. When you log in and it brings up your workspace, it lets you know what things you have available that you can do. As you see, it lets you know how many bills you have, if you utilize it to track time, in order to send invoice or to manage payroll. All of these things are options for you in the QuickBooks element. It does not really matter the price. The majority of these features you're still going to have. When you go in, you see it gives you the option to talk to a bookkeeper. So if you were to get stuck putting your items in, you have the additional option to reach out and send a message either to a QuickBooks bookkeeper or to your actual accountant or bookkeeper. It will directly send them a message. What the very first thing most businesses do when they start is that they link their bank accounts. So you may be saying, why would I link my bank account? If you have a nonprofit, it should have its own account. You should not be running your nonprofit out of your personal account. So, as you've gone through the conference, you've heard the setup steps, so you already know that it starts as a vision, it's laid out on paper, it goes into the formal stages of setup. So you filed the articles of incorporation with your state. You have gone ahead and gotten your EIN number and your DUNS number. Of course, when you've done the incorporation and you've gotten your EIN number, you now have the things that you need to go and open your actual bank account. You open the bank account and you link the bank account in your QuickBooks so that the transactions will automatically pull over for you. That makes it a whole lot easier than you trying to scrounge around and keep track of different receipts. One of the most important reasons for a bank account with a nonprofit is so that everything is accounted for. So you would set up for your donations, unless they're in kind, which is a product of some type, or a piece of furniture or something of that nature, to go directly into your account. And then your expenses, your light bill, your phone bill, your rental of your business, your payroll, to come directly out of the account. This gives you checks and balances. For a nonprofit, most nonprofits have a form of profit that they bring in. Most don't operate strictly on donation. A lot of them, they may sell T-shirts, candy, popcorn, different things. And in this area, you would set up your products and your services. So, say for example, to raise money for the children's programs, you sell candy bars. You go in, you select new, and you can pick if it's something that you keep an inventory for, or if it's something that you buy and sell and don't really keep an inventory for. If it's a service that you offer, maybe the children's ministry does land cuts grass for the yards in the neighborhood to raise money for them to be able to go on trips. Whatever the situation, you would track all of this. You would put all of these in here with the pricing. For your expenses, which you're gonna have, you would put your expenses here. If it's a timed activity, if it's a bill, if it's an expense. So what's the difference between a bill and an expense, you may be wondering? A bill. What is a bill? Light bill, gas bill, water bill, cell phone bill. What is an expense? Lawn maintenance, carpet shampoo, and a nonprofit. What else would you guys have? Maybe print costs for the programs, um, book orders for the teaching programs, clothing orders, if you clothe and feed the homeless, different things of that nature that you would pay for. Okay? If you're going to use the QuickBooks to physically print checks for you, here's where you would also print the checks to pay these things. So you may have projects. Projects are common to both profit and nonprofit. When you sit down and you decide you're going to lay out a project, as most know, it's more than just saying, hey, I want to build a playground for children. In addition to what is it going to take to do this? How many people will you need? What will your payroll expenses be? What will the cost of sod be? What will the cost of swings be? What is the cost of the insurance for this job? What is it going to cost now to advertise that you're doing this, both to get the employees and to draw the people? This is where you would set up your project. In QuickBooks, you can also do payroll. It could be done standalone or as part of the package that you get. Notice they have employees. Employees are people that you pay an hourly wage or a salary. Taxes are taken out of their pay and they're paid on a regular basis. Contractors are people who come in and work for themselves. Employees work for you. Contractors work for themselves. Employees, you take taxes out. Contractors are responsible for their own taxes. Employees, you will send a W 2 at the end of the year. Contractors, you will send a 1099 at the end of the year. If you're utilizing this in this way, these are these things will automatically generate for you based on the information that you've put in. The workman's comp accounts for the workman's compensation insurance that you put to the side and pay, which is part of your payroll responsibilities. When looking at this, you may be saying, this is overwhelming. I don't want to do this. Even if you got it and you started and it just got to be too much, or you really realize you don't have time, you don't have patience, you don't want to be bothered with it. This is something that when you get to the point where you're ready to pay someone, where it says my accountant, when you click my accountant, it allows you to invite whoever you have hired to your QuickBooks. So you may be saying, well, if they're an accountant or a bookkeeper, they should already have QuickBooks. The answer to that is most of us do. But when you invite them to be able to see your QuickBooks, it places you in their lineup. So when they're logged into their QuickBooks, they can go click a link and automatically see into your screen and be able to work in your account without having your password. So you still have the security of being able to go in and remove them if you no longer want them and they can't get back in. They also have the ability to not be able to stop you from seeing what's going on. So you still have full control. So if you have a software that you are using and you decide to hire someone, do not give them your username and password. Almost every software gives you the ability to invite someone. Okay, so let's take a quick look at our reports. With reports, all that I was telling you about being able to check your checks and balances and see where you are financially, this is where you can see that. From day one, you can see that. You want to know how you're doing? You click your profit and loss. Your profit and loss shows you how much you've bought in, shows you how much has gone out on labor, if anything, shows you how much you've spent on expenses. And if for some reason you sell shirts or what something of that nature, shows you your cost of goods sold. And then tells you whether you have a profit or you have a loss. Why would this be important in a nonprofit? One of the main reasons that this would be important in a nonprofit is because how do you operate if you have no money? How do you continue to operate if you are in the red, losing money? If you have no idea where you are in your finances, you have no way of saving a sinking ship. So, as early as you filing that first paperwork, because that's normally the very first expense, is that first visit to the consultant if you're going to one, and the fees to file your paperwork. If you're paying someone to do it for you, then that fee also. Those are your first set of fees. Those are those need to be recorded. Here's a few reasons why. By the end of the year, you've kind of forgotten about that. If you haven't recorded it somewhere, it's not in the front of your mind. Oh, I spent 500 for this or $1,000 for this or whatever the cost was. So you're just pulling, trying to remember what expenses you had, and you pull from the account, and those expenses aren't in the account because you had to do that before you could open the account. So more often than not, we forget to go back and even look at our personal to see what we had to do out of pocket for this nonprofit, which, even though we haven't set up the account yet, is still an expense to the nonprofit. Now, these categories are what the categories would be for a landscaping service, not a nonprofit. But when you do the nonprofit setup, it would show contributions, in-kind donations, uh, grants, loans, different things of that nature. It would break down the categories specifically for your entity versus this, but it would give the same information from one date to the next. This is what's happened. This is a quick overview. Okay, I need to know how much I'm paying for rent so I know whether I need to keep paying rent or would it would be more cost effective for me to buy this building at a mortgage of this. Uh, gas and lights is running 200 a month. What can I do to cut it? Should I add solar panels? What should I do? It gives you something to look at to help you to formulate plans of stability. In essence, yes, the goal is to be plans to prosper. But in the very beginning, what you really want is plans of stability. How to make your foundation solid until you can get to the next phase. How can I make my foundation solid until donations are just pouring in and grant money is just pouring in? How do I make my foundation solid? Well, we all know nothing in life is free. So, keeping track and knowing what you're spending gives you the ability to make a budget, gives you the ability to have some stability. But there's other reports. You can do an audit, you can do a comparison, you can do a snapshot, which will show you where you are altogether. So, year over year, you can look and say, okay, I might need to fix this, or I need to twerk that. I need to take this totally off. I need to do this. One example for a way to look at it, it shows you what your customers bring in. In your situation, you would have it set up where you track your donors. Because at the end of the year, you need to send your donors a statement of how much they donated so they could use it for their taxes. So when you put in the information, and go to see, you can go and know in this situation is showing who owes, but in a different report, it will show you what your contributors were. If for some strange reason you had a situation where people owed you, you can generate a who owes report. Your vendors are going to be who you owe and what you owe them for. As often as possible, we would want to keep keep the debt down to a minimum. Mileage. You can add an app that will link directly to your QuickBooks. When you are driving, it will pick up the mileage. It will let you edit inside of it and tell you if it's business or personal. It will also let you add in the trips mile manually. It is a very useful tool for those who transport medically needy, transport domestic violence victims to get them to safety, transport non emergency medical, transport children, transport the homeless. If you are in a situation where your organization is transporting people to and fro, the mileage is going to definitely be something that you would want to track. If your organization goes to different locations to do teachings, to do feedings, to do education, things of that nature, those are miles that you would actually want to track. And automatically it links directly and pulls the miles over. So, one of the reasons that all of this is important, again, is because when you go to do taxes, the type of taxes that you file, the form that you use, is dependent upon how much money that you have made for the year. Which application you need to put in with your state to be able to collect charitable contributions is going to vary based on how much you bring in and kind of change year over year as it increases or decreases. How much grant money you actually need to be looking for is dependent upon definitely how much money is coming in, because you're going to need to be able to look at a glance and say, okay, right now, if I don't do anything extra, I have enough money in the bank to cover operations for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, more, no months. If you look at your account and you don't have the money to operate for a month, immediately that tells you you should be in the phase of how can I bring in revenue over and above donations to keep this program functioning? Can I sell shirts? Can I sell baskets? Can I take a team of my clients and utilize them and start a cleaning service? What can I do to keep the program paying for itself? When you think about all of this, it seems like this is going to be overwhelming. I have just enough on my plate worrying about how I'm going to run the program. I really just went into this so that I can give the word of the Father to the people, whatever your nonprofit is, because churches are nonprofits. There are hospitals that are nonprofits. There are domestic violence shelters, homeless shelters, men's organizations, women's organizations, youth organizations. There are many different types of nonprofit organizations. Each one is categorized and handled a little different. If you've already gone through the nonprofit process, you know that there's different categories for different types and different applications for different types. Some qualify under the short form. Some have to have the long form that requires resumes and information on your board members and the whole situation. Each one functions slightly different, where you may have a small ministry of about 100 members and you just really don't have any employees. The ministry board cleans up everything themselves, and all they really have to do is pay for the church and pay for the bills. You may prefer to start out with a spreadsheet or even just QuickBooks without any additional help and wait to the end of the year to have someone else do your taxes. If you have a larger congregation where you have lots of donors and lots of contributors and lots of programs going on with money going in and out, you may prefer to use QuickBooks but yet still have someone that comes in and assists you. You have the ability to make the decision if the bank is pulling the information over and they're doing everything, or if they're coming in monthly to do a check and balance and a reconciliation. You choose and select what's comfortable for you. But the very important portion of this is knowing that you have to have some form of accounting system. It is necessary. If you're audited, it's necessary. If something goes wrong and it appears that money has been misappropriated, they're going to be looking for the paperwork to see where it really went. Where are the receipts? Where are the reports? Where are the estimates? Where is the payroll information? Where is everything? So if you have an organization and you don't have an accounting system, maybe you just have a bunch of receipts in a drawer and you figured it didn't matter because you're so small. Do yourself the liberty of gathering up your receipts and putting them into one of these formats, a spreadsheet, a software, or call someone, pay someone to set it all up for you. Don't wait until it's an issue to get organized. The other thing I would like to touch on, and it's a little more of a sensitive subject, but nonprofits are the target of some that embezzle. Because nonprofits have money coming in from a little of everywhere, and someone may walk up and just drop off an envelope over and above whatever just came in from the government. It's a little more freedom monetarily than with a normal business structure. And someone who, for lack of better words, is slightly dishonest may take advantage of the fact that you're so busy just trying to run the program and have totally entrusted them that they have free reign to kind of play with the money. When you have an accounting system that you have access to, that you can go into without having to ask any questions, now you can see and know, hey, something doesn't look right. Hey, it looks like we did a little too much of this or we did a little too much of that. Hey, I have orders where I've ordered the same thing, but some came here and some went to somebody's house. You can now look and see and catch early on if the funds for your nonprofit is being misappropriated. If you have someone in office that's kind of handling it for you, and then someone outside that's coming in through and doing the checks and balances and the reconciliation. Now you have someone also to say, hey, I just wanted to reach out to you and let you know this looks a little off. This should be this, this, and this, but it's actually this, this, and this. Do you know what happened? Did you forget to put in a receipt, or did you forget to put in a check, or do you know what's going on? Now you're thinking. In some cases, you may, and you guys get it fixed. In some cases, you may have to go backtrack and find where your money has gone. Take the steps to protect yourself. Take the steps to grow yourself. Take the steps to balance yourself. A well balanced financial system leads to a well balanced and prosperous company, whether it's profit or nonprofit. Again, I am Precious Swain Peaks, over owner of Anointed for Prosperity Bookkeeping and More. I have been an accountant since 1989. If you have any questions or need any help, please don't hesitate to reach out. This is not a money thing. My consultations are free. If we sit down and talk and look at your things and see that they need some organizing, some fixings, but you don't really have a budget, I'm not going to hang up the phone on you and not help you. I will help you help yourself. I will show you how to put it in order where it works fine for you. If you reach out and you do have a budget and you just don't want to be bothered with it, then that's what we're here for. We are a full service accounting firm. I have 5 bookkeepers in the office and 29 tax professionals. We are a tax service bureau, so we do set up tax offices also. So if you have some type of nonprofit that wants to make extra money during the tax season by employing maybe people in the community, or if it's a church, people in the congregation, we can help you set up your own office where you are able to then pour back into your congregation or your domestic violence clients or homeless clients who are capable of working and able to pass a background check and show you how to help them make income, and you'd be able to take and seed your profit back into your program. So we have many things available to assist. I hope that this workshop has helped you. I hope that at now, whether you have a huge budget or just a few dollars, that you can catch hold of your finances and get them under your control. Even though it said you need an accountant, and I am one and should say, yes, you need. If you can't afford it, don't let it go lax just because you can't afford to pay somebody. Take it under control. Even if you have to bring in an employee that you pay by the hour, get it under control. I hope this helps. You guys have an amazing rest of the conference.